Did you know you can change the font color and boot background images of your AnyTone 578 mobile? One of the most significant differences between digital and analog has always been the feature-rich customization. So let's stop looking at the same dull screen and finally customize your AnyTone 578 mobile to what you desire. Hi, I'm Sebastian KB0TTL. Today I'll navigate you through the AnyTone 578 mobile radio's customization settings. Let's get started. What I'm first going to go ahead and do is go into our 578 CPS, and I'm going to go ahead and have our radio plugged in via its data cable. I'm going to go ahead and turn our radio on. As I see, it's already on here. So the important part here, I'm going to go ahead and read from radio here first, and then I'm going to go ahead and change up a couple of things. So then without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to find our COM port here that our radio is hooked to. And we'll go ahead and we'll read from radio so that we have our code plug here on hand. So we'll go ahead and do a read data from radio. And it'd be important to select the right COM port here. More than one COM port may show. Sometimes you see 2 or 3 of them here. If you forget which one you're on, select the next one numerically down until you're able to load from your radio. This is my demo computer, so I plug multiple different radios in here. I use this to program multiple different radios, both that we carry and that we don't here. So this is kind of my workhorse here that I'm running on right now. If you don't have a computer in your possession that is your workhorse that you program all of your radios from, I highly suggest getting a hold of a computer that you use just solely for that purpose and for your radio hobby. It just makes things easier, in my opinion. And what I'm going to go ahead and do here first is I'm going to go into the Tools menu. Then there's your boot image up here. Your boot image is the image that shows just briefly as your radio boots up. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and configure that first here, I think. We're going to select our boot image. I'm going to go ahead and open up one of our images here. I'm going to go ahead and change that image out here. All right, we have a QSL card picture selected for our boot image. We're going to go ahead and write that to radio. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and select a background image. There are 2 different selections we could put for background image, background picture 1 and 2, and you can swap between the 2 of them if one of them is too bright. For our purposes, we'll stick with a darker colored image because it's going to be a lighter colored type that goes on top of it, and it'll just be easier to see that way. When we go to open image, the images that we can open are either going to be bitmap or JPEG formatted images. And I believe that the aspect ratio on this is about 4:5. So basically, if the aspect ratio is way off of that, your display will still show the image. Your display will automatically adjust the image to that aspect ratio, which may make it look a little bit compressed or enlarged in certain places. So it's best to stick with the aspect ratio of about 4:5. Select one of my little image files here. Sort of a lighter colored image. That isn't necessarily what I want to go for because we're going to have probably white text, or you could select actually the color of the text to orange. I'm going to select the color of text to orange. So this lighter color image may not necessarily be detrimental. So we'll go ahead with that for our first option. And just write to the radio and let it reboot. And then we'll write our second image. And go to picture 2. Let's open an image file. Choose something else. Open an image file, a little bit darker version of that same image, and we'll go ahead and write that. And we'll wait for the radio to restart. All right. Now let's look a little bit further at those screen fonts here. Go to optional settings over here. We can select between which picture we want, 1 or 2. 2's actually a little darker, so I'm going to select 2. And we have our font setting here. And I know this font actually sets the font that we see, our programming here, displayed on the screen. I'm not sure if this really has any bearing as to what the display of the radio shows. Try script. I'll definitely be able to tell if it's in script or not and if that transfers to the radio. Okay, to save our changes, we're going to write to radio. Or for any of the pictures to save, or any of those to save as changes, we have to first write to the radio. We can upload pictures to this radio all day, but nothing's going to change until we write to the radio. Just making sure it does what it's supposed to here. All right, so we have our QSL image. That's correct. That's working good. I like the way that looks. And we have our background image. For the type on here, we have the orange type. It says we're seeing the selectable fonts are actually your screen font for your spreadsheet, but the selectable fonts don't actually carry over to the radio. You could change the color though. That's pretty cool. With that final setting adjustment, your radio should now have the custom settings you desire. As you just watched, customizing your AnyTone 578 mobile screens isn't at all difficult. It's mostly just knowing how to navigate your CPS software. To find out how quickly you can update your radio software, click the link below. We'll walk you through the steps to upgrade your radio's firmware as well as CPS. Thanks again for watching N73.